Today, we're going to learn this in this Torah portion, Parshas Naso. So we learned in the beginning about the counting of yesterday we learned about the counting of the tribes of, and not just the counting, but the jobs, which were given by Moses to very good. The tribes with jobs were given to Gershon and Merari. And today we're going to learn something interesting. Let's see how much we can get to today and tomorrow. And first of all, this is the longest Torah portion, single portion in the whole Torah. One of the reasons why is that in the end of this Torah portion, it talks about the offerings which were brought by the 12 tribes, each one of the 12 tribes, on the day that the temple, the tabernacle was open, when it started open for business, when it started. And every one of the heads of the tribes, they brought exactly the same thing. So it repeats the same thing over and over 12 times, which we'll see why this is. Well, it repeats because Yosef is divided into two tribes. So Levi, they didn't bring the same thing, but Yosef is divided into two. So therefore, it comes out to be 12 tribes. But also in this Torah portion is the very interesting and unusual laws of the Sota, the woman is suspected by her husband of being unfaithful to him. And then there's the law of the Nazir. The Nazir is a person who decides he wants to add a little bit of holiness to his life. So he takes, or she takes, a vow of not drinking wine, letting the hair grow. And then there's the blessings of the Kohanim. The blessings of the Kohanim, very interesting. The blessing that we hear nowadays on that the Kohen made, the 15-word blessing that the Kohanim made. So let's try to get as much as we can learned over it. There's a very interesting, also, of course, wonderful, deep and holy and happy commentaries that are involved in all these, even if it's such an unpleasant topic as the Sota. So let's go. Let's see what we can bring. Here we go. Right. Vayedaber Hashem el Moshe lemor. Daber el bnei Israel v'mor toleim, and say to them, Ish ki tiste ishto. Any man that his wife starts deviating from normal, umalalo bomal, and she is acting improperly. So let's see what Rashi says. Now this commandment is totally one of suspicion. He suspects. He has no evidence she's doing anything, no clear evidence. No clear. There's only suspicion. He suspects that she's doing something. And so he warns her not to do it again. There's a whole tractate of Talmud. And so he warns her. And and what does he warn her? He doesn't want to see her talking to such and such a person. He has to say who the person is, the butcher anymore. I don't want to see you alone with him, going alone. And she goes alone. There's a witness comes and says, I saw her go alone with the butcher yesterday. And he says, you went alone with the butcher? She said, yeah, but I was just, was just in the cooling room over there. And he wanted to show me some steaks. And so he says, I don't believe you. He takes her to the Holy Temple, and it's a big, long process. He makes her drink this water that has some of the dirt of the ground from the temple on it, and there's the part of a parchment, those letters with God's name in it are written, and they wash it off in the water. She has to drink it, and if she's innocent, so she gets all sorts of blessings. But if she's not, she dies this terrible death. not a very happy ending. I mean, it's a happy ending if she was innocent. And that's it. That's the end of the law. And then there's certain sacrifices that she has to bring. We'll talk about this. Then the next law is the law of the Nazir. And we're going to talk about that in a minute. But let's talk about this one first. Here we go. Ready? Rashi. What does it say above? Ish et kroshav yihiyu. Here it is. See, every person has to bring ish es kroshav to you. Ish asher yitain the kohen. Yeah, every person has to bring his sacrifices to the kohen. It says there's certain things which the kohen, right? The sacrifices that be brought to the kohen. There's certain parts that the kohen can keep for himself. If you do not bring your sacrifices when you're supposed to for the offerings, or if you make a pledge to you're going to make a sacrifice to the Holy Temple and you don't bring it, you're eventually going to be forced to come. Right? You say, I'll bring the ox next week, next year, I'll bring it. It says you're going to be forced to bring because of the Sota. You're going to see he has to bring certain sacrifices to the each person. Laman lamelcha. This teaches you shemoalim b'shnayim, that she shemoalet, that she is being unfaithful, perfidious to both of them. Who? Ish, two men. Who? Which two men? Be'ish milchama, with God, who's called the man of war. In the song, when the Jewish people went over the sea, it said Hashem ish milchama. And Isha, and her husband, below. So on one end, she's a Jew, so she's married to God. Every Jewish woman, every Jewish person is married to Hashem. Man and woman, where the Jewish people are the wives of God. Right? We're married at Mount Sinai. So we're all married to God. And she also got married to her regular husband. Right? Just because you're married to God doesn't mean you can't get married to her husband. So she, therefore, now she has cheated on both of them. Ki tiste ishto. What is it? Mishan Rabbanan ein an manafes manoefes el nichnas bo ruach shtus. Even a woman who is licentious and she has her eyes on the street, nevertheless, she won't actually do a sin until there comes into her a tiste, shota. She's called a sota, tiste. So that she deviates. From this, it says it learns over here that even this applies to every Jew, that no Jew does a sin unless he goes temporarily crazy, which this, of course, is in some courts, this is a good point for the defense. My client was temporarily insane. So here it says that any person that does a sin is temporarily insane. Why? Because it says Noach ki choser lev. It's a pasuk in Proverbs. A licentious woman her heart is missing. What was her? But the simple meaning is tiste ishto. What does it mean? Tiste, not she becomes a shoteh, she becomes crazy, but tat midarka etzinidos, that her husband sees that she is going off the ways of modesty. She's not dressing, she's trying to show herself off, etc. And it's a little bit suspicious in his eyes. What are you trying to attract attention for? What is this? Kamo sata me'alavavur. Okay, so different words implying the same thing, that a person is deviating from a normal path of life. This woman seems to be deviating and being addicted to proper. What is the mal? What is it that she's doing improperly? What exactly that she's doing improperly is, it says, V'shachav ish ota shichva. Her husband suspects that she's having sexual relations with someone else, and he didn't see it. And and that she how do you say, hid away with someone else. She secluded herself with someone else. The aid ain't born, there's no witness there. He lo nispas, and she was not forced. In other words, he suspects that she has done things against his will in secret. He doesn't have any, there's no witnesses. Like it says, aiding bo, but if there is a witness that she actually did something, then she would not drink this water. The whole process is finished. There's a witness she divorces her husband. Her husband divorces her. There's no witness that she actually had sexual relations with a strange man, but there are witnesses that she was alone with him. She went alone with him. There's what to be suspicious about. And she was not, no one forced her. There came upon him a spirit of jealousy. Some people say this is a pure spirit. Some people say it's not. Just a craze came over him. And he warned his wife. And she is impure. What does it mean? He nitma or of kalomer. He hatra ba so. And he warned her, and she disregarded his warning. In other words, no one knows. This is all doubtful. He doesn't know if she really actually did anything when she was secluded with this man in the room or not. But there is ample room for suspicion. Okay, really, the whole entire business over here is basically, when it comes right down to it, is the ketuvah. Any man can divorce his wife if he wants to. If he wants to divorce his wife, but if he has grounds for divorcing his wife, in other words, she is really at fault, then he does not pay the ketuvah. But if a man wants to divorce his wife and pay her ketuvah, then he can. He can just, say, we're divorced, that's it. And he has to pay just the wedding ceremony. But if there is he has ample reason, then he doesn't have to pay this. But here, this is now really getting sinister, because if, for instance, she did have relations with someone, but there were no witnesses, or even if there's one witness, so she's not punished, she's just, divorced. If she had relations with someone and there was witnesses and she was warned, etc., then the punishment is death. But this is a big exception, because here the punishment can be death, even though there's actually no actual witnesses to the sin. And the warning was also an improper warning, because in order for a court to kill someone that did a sin that warrants the death penalty, as the person has to sin immediately after the warning. And here the man warned his wife, and who knows, it could be a year went by, longer. So it says the ruach tahora, they came over him a ruach kina, a spirit of jealousy. Says the Sforno, ruach tahora. This is a pure spirit. What do you mean a pure spirit? He is interested in her welfare as well. He doesn't want her to become a licentious woman. He knows that she is starting to deviate from a normal way of living, right? So therefore, he's warning her. Hatra gives him a warning. He says, don't go aside with such and such a person. He has to say, he can't just say, I don't want you to go and be alone with any man. That he can certainly say, but that does not make her liable for this sota. It has to be, he says, has to say a certain person. I don't want to see you with Shmerel, the postman or something. Has to say the certain person. And then she goes and does it. Ruach shtut, he says, says the Sforno, this is a spirit of craziness, which is no logical reason. Ruach shtut, bilti siba ruya shekana. It's a craziness that has no logical reason to it. Right? I see what you're doing. Stop it. She's just doing it because she feels an urge, and so she doesn't urge. Don't follow your urges. He's trying to Okay, what happens? Here's what happens. The man brings his wife into the Kohen. I want to do this HaChaim, but let's go back to it first. The man brings his wife to the Kohen. And he brings a sacrifice with her, with him, right, together with his wife. He brings a sacrifice, 10 asiri ta'efo, a tenth of an efo of kemach, of barley. Now this is unusual, barley, because usually you don't offer barley in this, but because it's animal food. Rashi will say, why is it barley? Who no chitim, not wheat. She acted like an animal, or as he suspects that she did. Therefore, the sacrifice that he brings is the food, animal food. And he says you don't pour on it any oil. Why? It shouldn't be a nice sacrifice. The oil is called or, it's called light. And she made darkness. And he shouldn't put lavona. Lavona is a certain type of a, whatever is a spice that they put on a thing. Shem amahot nikra lavona, because the Rachel, Sora, Rivka, Rachel, and Leah, they are called lavona. And so Sheneamar, like it says, Givat lavona. She pirsha midarkein. This, she decided to separate herself from the ways of Sora, Rachel, Rivka, Rachel, and Leah, that their whole lives were just devoted totally to the truth and to what God wanted. And because of that, they suffered. And she decided she didn't want to suffer. She wants to have a good time. At least he suspects her again. So therefore, they don't put any low lavana, you don't put any shemen, oil, you don't put any lavona, because it's an offering of kinot, it's an offering of warning. Warning, the husband she made her husband jealous and angry, and therefore this is not a Jewish way. And I want to do this round this HaChaim, but let's see. Let's just go first of all. The Kohen stands in front of her and puts her in front of God, and the Kohen now takes water, holy water, in a clay vessel, and he takes some of the dirt which is on the ground of the Mishkan, of the tabernacle, and the Kohen puts it into the water. There's a whole argument about how he has to put it in, when he puts it in. But in any case, what is this water, holy water? He makes it holy, he puts it into the water from the kior that they were washing their hands from. So he takes this here from the choshek, and this person, what was this thing that they washed their hands from? It was made from the backs of the mirrors of the women that went out of Egypt, because they would take this, what is this, copper, they would put it on the backs of their mirrors, the backs of whatever it is, a piece of or they would shine it up or whatever, but they would put it on the back of glass, and they would show it to their husbands, how ugly you are and look how beautiful I am. And that would encourage their husbands to have relations with them in Egypt, when the women were in Egypt. And that's what gave birth to all of the millions of Jews that were born in Egypt and then left Egypt. And this woman now, she pirsha b'darchem, and this woman, she decided that she wanted to separate from them. Right? They built the Jewish nation, and she wants to destroy the Jewish nation. She'i nivalas nivalim b'Mitzrayim, the Baalim, it says that they would have relations. The women in Egypt, the righteous Jewish women, would arouse their husbands. It says under the apple tree. It says, and she wrecked it up. So therefore, she would be checked. She would be checked with this water and a kli cheres and a regular clay vessel, because she decided to drink wine from nice vessels with her paramour, and therefore she will not drink water from this terrible vessel. The point is trying to come to say over here how terrible a thing infidelity is. How terrible a thing infidelity is. And it says, because of three things, the first temple was destroyed, as Gilei Arayos and Shvichas Damim and Avodah Zarah. Gilei Arayos means exactly this: that women were have related. So it's a terrible thing. But even though the fact of the matter is, and this is a thing which is accepted, generally speaking, also by non-Jews. By non-Jews also, it's one of the 7 Noahide commandments. One of the 7 Noahide commandments is that you can't have relations with somebody else's wife, and a woman can't be, okay. So this is like the basis of the whole world. The basic reason is because you don't know who your children are. You don't know if those children belong to you, if they don't belong to this. A person can have relations, get married to his own daughter, right? This lady had relations with somebody, some other man. Doesn't okay. The Kohen puts the woman in front of God, messes up her hair, which indicates that it should have been covered, reveals her hair. From here we know the Jewish women should not reveal their hair. It's not a nice thing for Jewish women to go and advertise their long hair. And he puts this a mincha. He puts this meal offering that he brought before, and then the Kohen takes this bitter water, and the Kohen now makes her swear. And he says to the woman, and this is what is printed, you're going to see it's going to be written on a parchment. This paragraph here. If you did not have any relations with anyone, and if you did not do anything unfaithful to your husband, then you'll be clean from these cursed waters. But if you did cheat on your husband and you are impure and a person had relations with you except your husband, then understood it's going to be the opposite. And the Kohen makes her swear, and the Kohen says to the woman, may God make you as a curse to your people if you are guilty, and among your people, and that all your stomach and all of your innards will fall out, and your will swell up, and the more this water of the curse, whatever, will come inside of you, and it will expand your stomach, and your innards will fall, and the woman, your womb will fall, and the woman says, Amen, Amen, Amen. I will. And it says that she Amen on this man, and Amen if it was maybe somebody else. In other words, he can only swear for this one, but there's called the Gilgul Shavua. He said, maybe you didn't have relations. I didn't have relations with this man. And his husband says, and I want you to swear that you didn't have relations with anybody else. Maybe this man you didn't have relations. But now that I have you here, I can make you swear you didn't have relations with anybody else after we got married. Also before we got married, when we're just engaged. He can roll up all this. Then he writes all of these on a parchment, and he puts this parchment into the water, right? All these curses that we read over here. There's an argument where he starts off from, but just these last few sentences, he writes it on a parchment, and it's got God's name on it, right? It says here, may God here. In front of God, and he says, here, may God make you for a curse. So it's got God's name in it. Another time with God, Yudke Vavke, will make your womb fall, and etc. So it's God's name. It's being erased over here, and he writes it down, and he makes the woman drink the water, and the Kohen takes from the hand of the woman this meal offering. It's a question if he takes it before or if he takes it afterwards, and he lifts it up, and the Kohen takes a part of this meal, and he burns it up on the altar, and she drinks the water. If she was impure, then the water comes into her, and her stomach immediately starts to swell up, and her womb falls, and she dies. And if she was not impure, then she becomes clean and Nizra Zera, and then she becomes fertile, and she has children, beautiful children, and etc. This is the law of jealousy, etc., etc. And the man, he is clear from all sin. If she really did die because of this, so the husband shouldn't feel guilty. What did I do? I killed my wife. I should have just kept quiet. No. It says no. Nika ish mi'avon. In Badkal Mayam, the man, if the water really did kill her, he shouldn't worry and say, it's my fault, I killed her. I should have just divorced her and kicked her out of the house. It says no. He is clean from any punishment. Another one that Mishen Nikta Tacha Teheyetslo Beheter, if she did not sin and the water didn't work, then she should be, I'm sorry, Mi She Yishkena Teheyetslo Beheter Venikam Avon. Then by him she will be permissible and clean from any sin. Sota Asura Labala, because a woman all the time she is cheating on her husband, she's really forbidden to her husband. So he really should not have relations with her if she really was sinning. Next, speak to the Jewish people and say, a man or a woman, if they decide they wanted to be a Nazir. Okay, so let's go back. I wanted to do this beautiful HaChaim, which is, even though it's a little bit long, but it still is no less very beautiful. Here we go. So what do we say? That the man brings his wife to the Kohen, and she brings the sacrifices, a korban, and a certain amount of meal offering. A meal offering, and you don't pour any oil on it, and you don't put any of this levana, what's it called, frankincense, I think they call it, on it, because it is a offering of sin, a sin offering. It's made from barley, etc. Okay. Says the holy or HaChaim HaKodesh, Rav Chaim ben Atar. Ad Sof calling this from the now. This is just the beginning until what I just read you, right? The whole thing. We have to explain this. We have to bring up a few points over here. First of all, Maya Kavana, what does it say? Mincha Zikaron Maskiras Avon. What does it mean that it is a bread offering, a meal offering, a remembrance to remind you of sin? So it's Minchas Zikaron. It is a remembrance to remind of sin. What does that mean? Lama hutzrach lezikron. What do you have to remember for? What are you supposed to remember? He's bringing her to the. It's pretty clear why he's bringing her to the temple. He already warned her. He said, "I don't want you to be alone with, Shmerel the butcher," and she did it. She went along with the butcher. So he's taking her. So what does he have to remind her for? What she did is not so long ago that she has to be reminded. Gam also, what does it mean? So what does it mean an offering of remembrance? Gam lama yityaches leminchat seorim. Why does it say that this barley offering, this is what reminds of the sin? Why is that? We see that a mincha offering, a bread offering, doesn't remind of sin. For instance, we see on she's the korban mincha chadasha Yisrael. They bring the omer. We just finished counting the omer, right? The counting of the omer was also from barley, and that doesn't remind us anything of sin. Barley reminds us of sin. That's what Rashi says. Because she acted like an animal, so we give animal food and barley, but we offer barley also right after Passover is over for the Omer. That's the Omer. We just finished. So why does it say that barley reminds us of sin? It doesn't remind us of sin over there with the Omer offering. We also have to understand what is the intention over here when it says about the Mayim Kadoshim, that you bring holy water. What it says? Where is it? Oh. Where is it? Maybe Korbano. It says Mayim Kadoshim. 1 second. It's here. The next one. 1 minute. Mayim Kadoshim. Where is it? Did I skip it? Did I miss it? It says Mayim Kadoshim. Mayim Orim. It's called Mayim Kadoshim. Where did I miss it here? Here it is. I'm sorry. He takes holy water in this vessel. Kohen Kodashim. Says the HaChaim. Why does it say? What does it mean? Holy water. What is this water? Why are they called holy? The rabbis say in the Gemara, Sota, and also in the Midrash, that it means to say that they put it into this vessel, that the Kohanim wash their hands and their feet from in the morning. And so that's why it's called holy. What's the question? It says this we also have to understand. Why did God command that they have to take this holy water? And also, what is the effect of this parchment, that they write it down on a parchment, right? That they take these words and they write it on a parchment and they put the parchment into the water and they wipe off the letters. Shlomo, we can understand what Moshe did with the egel. When it says when the Jewish people sinned with the golden calf, that he ground up this golden calf and he made them drink it. And this is something like the Sota, we said. This is like, it says, your own evil will punish you. In other words, they got punished from the golden calf, right? Golden calf. But here, she doesn't drink anything from her sin. She drinks water that they wiped off words from the Torah in it. I don't understand that the golden calf that they did a sin with. So Moshe said, oh, you sin with the golden, you like the golden calf? Well, I'm going to make you drink it. And they drank it and they died. But here, what did they write? They write holy words from the Torah. True, it's talking about the subject. It's these words here. They write it on a parchment. They put it in this water until the letters come off in the water and they make her drink it. But these letters, they didn't cause her to sin. Why? Right? Like the golden calf made everybody sin. So what's the connection? Kam also, Lama min Mikdash, why does this water have to come from the temple? Why does it have to be special holy water? So it has to be water that's right there in front of them. And the dirt. Also the dirt that comes below Yachfor Niflaim Mimeni Adavorim. Oh, below Yachfor, and they don't have to dig for it. Dig this in the ground of the temple for this water. And when there was the temple, so of course there was no dirt on the ground, so they had to bring more dirt and they brought dirt. It had to be ready. So what's all this idea that it was ready and it should be prepared? Says the HaChaim, Nifli Mimenu Adavorim. All these things are amazing to me. Now we have to understand that we said this a lot of times. The HaChaim, he was supposed to be Mashiach, so if it's amazing for him, it's amazing for us. Kam also Omer, what it says, V'nasan alamayim, it has to be put on the water. Okay, let's just skip this for a minute. Maybe we can explain like this. What it says, first of all, know the Pnimius of Torah, from the inside of the Torah. Halosh Eshmiaticha. But Parshas Bereshis, we were let known that when man was created in Bereshit, and what is it? What's the first Bereshit? How does it called in English? Anyway, the first chapter of Genesis. So, the pasuk, Vayechulu Hashamayim ba'oretz. It says over there, God created the world in 6 days. On the sixth day, everything was finished. Vayechal Elokim, and everything was completed. Kikol Nivra Bahavos Techsov B'Techal. That everything, it says Vayechal, Vayechulu. Vayechulu means be finished, but it also means to be longing, desiring. Everything that was created should have a desire and be longing and a tremendous, what do you want, if you want to call it a lust, to be clinging to God. Elokim Chaim, living God, Baruch Hu. V'hirgish Tayavon Zeh Yeshno Gam Bebilti Noah And this feeling, this desire to be close to God is found in every single person, the measure of spirituality that God put into each and every person, according to what the person needs. With every person is created by God. Every person has different levels of realization of this fact that God is creating him, and also a desire to be closer to the source of his creation, of the source of life. Like it says in the book Mishlei, Kol Pal Hashem Lamano. Everything that God did was for his, so to speak, his own sake. We also find by the rabbis that they say, Tam Shenikra Mayim Bochim. It says that when God created the world, so he divided the upper waters from the lower waters. That was in the second day. It says the lower waters were crying. L'tzad, because that God separated them, half above and half below. There's a nishar olamata, half of them remained below. It says b'tachat liyabasha, under the ground, or some people say this is all the pleasures of this world and the pleasures of the upper worlds. The two types of water. This water that remained below, it says they're crying, and they're moaning because they're far away from God. They're far away from God. Kihu kosef hanivroim yachad ve'tikvatam. Because this is the desire of all creation, that they should be unified with the Creator again. Va'od hein her'o Hashem et asher yachpatz. Why did God, if so, why did God keep us down here in this world? Why? Is it from cruelty? No. God wants, we call dira b'tachtonim. God wants that man should make God a dwelling place in this world, miyamei adam, all of the days of his life. But man, just a couple hours after he was created, when he sinned, is kalkal adama. He wrecked up, he defiled the ground, v'gava kisei al malucha, makar bracha mina olam, and he pushed God away from the world, pushed the source of blessing away from the world. Ad eit bo devorim, b'yom matan Torah, until the day of God gave the Torah. God gave the Torah. What's this mean? Okay. Until God gave the Torah to the Jewish people. And then again, people started desiring what God wants, namely that God wants to be here in the world. But it says in Parshas Bamidbar, what God told the Jewish people, I want to live in the world, that's the Holy Temple. And God didn't say, I want you to wait to go to the Holy Land, and the Holy Land, that's going to be my place, right? No, he said, my place is this world. I can't wait. I want you to make a permanent dwelling for me in this world. Make the tabernacle, even though it wasn't 100% permanent, it moved around. Shehi nishar zaman muat, just 40 years. Im lo hayam ma'aseh maraglin. It would have been just a couple of months if the Jewish people would have listened to what God said and gone into the land of Israel when Moses said, like a year later, a half a year later, after the tabernacle was built, then they would have gone into the Holy Land. The tabernacle was built on the first day of Nisan, and God said, go into the Holy Land. That was at the beginning of, Tammuz. Go into and the Jewish people refused, so they had to be there for 40 years. But if they wouldn't have, God said, I want you to make me a dwelling in this physical world. As soon as the Jewish people refused to go into the land of Israel, then God again departed, so to speak. I'm sorry. One second. No, I'm sorry. Ume'ata. No. I skipped the line. I'm sorry. Skip the line. Me'ata, but now, Zulat HaChaim, if it wasn't been for these sins, Asher Sovotir, Dirat Elokim, then God would be here in this physical world. That's the idea of the coming of the Mashiach. Then God will wipe out all of the tears, because these tears come from the lower waters, which are separated from godliness. Right? God wanted to be here so that there wouldn't be these lower waters, there wouldn't be any tears and crying. God would remove the stain of the land, and the lower waters would be happy. Asher Oror Hashem, that this earth, that God cursed it when Adam ate, U Rachak Mimenu. I don't know, is it David? I don't know. Dod means loving, a loving relationship, olam. V'hine'ata et dodim. So then that's the whole thing of the time of of love and closeness. What's going on over here? If you ever read the Shir HaShirim, so a lot of it is talking about how God is running after the Jewish people are running away from him, then the Jewish people run after God, and God runs away from them, and God calls the Jewish people and arouses them, and they look for him in the nighttime, and they go in the desert. There's the interrelationship between God and the Jewish people. That God appears in the world, he gives the Jews the Torah, and the Torah's Jews sin with the golden calf, and then God he brings them to the land of Israel, he builds the holy temple. If there if there are any, because of sins, it says if Jewish people sin, then the God removes himself from the world again. This is those who mourn for the tohu mayim. It says for the what happened to the water. So what's going on? God split the water on the second day of creation. Then when Adam was put into the world, he made it so that there would be unity again. When Adam sinned, it split it again. So therefore there's weeping in this world. When God gave the Torah, then again there was unity in the world and happiness. When the Jewish people sinned with the golden calf, so that it happened again. When God forgave the Jews, so he built the tabernacle, he came back down here again and made the water when they refused to go into the land of Israel. So then it was to a certain degree also gone again. V'tzorech le'ir ozen v'limudim elu ki hatavis Yisrael k'she'amdu al har Sinai yishartam haya gam ken ra'oi l'asher shechina. When the Jewish people were standing on Mount Sinai, that was like the high point. They were then fit to have God's Shekhinah in the world. Well, like it says, Umaleh Oretz Dea, then the world will be filled with the knowledge of God. Dirat Hashem b'tachtonim, and God will dwell in the physical low world, ke be'elyonim, just like in the upper worlds. And then Yitaleh Mekomenu Zeh, and our place will become elevated. Ki amala v'yarida taluya b'karbas, this is because this whole idea of going up and down, this all depends on us. Okay, let's just do a little bit more, and then we'll have to continue this tomorrow. So it comes out that what the rabbis say, when the Torah was given, it says that the letters were carved out. It says carved out means charut. It says don't charut, don't just say charut, but cherut, free. The Jewish people were free from the angel of death. Cherut mi'etzahora, they were free from the evil impulse. And by means of the sin of the golden calf, all this death and evil came back to the world just like it was. And the devil, Behotzi Roshel Satan, Below Ho'il Hatavasam Shel Yisrael, Ela Lamakom Mugbal Toch Machaneim. Then the world became defiled, and the Jews could only bring a certain degree of holiness into the place where they were, into their camp. Of a kalalas olam, but the rest of the world was like destroyed. B'yom zam, neshamu, b'yom zam v'chozer kav amavet. There was death brought back into the world. Masha Enkin, which is not the case. The time of Mekav that we're waiting for. There won't be any more evil in the world, and the spirit of evil will be taken away from all of us. So that's the whole idea of bringing this water. God said, take this water first, because the woman, she is unfaithful to husband. This is like the Jewish people being unfaithful. I skipped the whole paragraph. So that's the idea of taking this water, means taking the lower water, the lower pleasures of this world. The team says, that they said, he said that, there's an argument if you have to put the dirt there first or the dirt there afterwards. Says that it's that the fact of the matter is that which one is going to be the overpowering one? The earth is going to overpower the water, and therefore the water will remain below, or the water will be on top. So that's the whole idea of the Sota. This is reenacting the relationship between God and the Jewish people. Why we have to write it on a parchment? We're going to do this tomorrow, God willing. The Nazir is not as long, and also the blessings of the Kohanim are also not as long. With God's help, we'll finish this tomorrow. Have a good day with Mashiach. Now tomorrow, 8:15, we'll continue this beautiful mimer that we're learning in Likutei Torah, and the amazing Sikha that the Rebbe is talking about, how we can add on that the future redemption is going to be even bigger and better than the giving of the Torah. Was even more holy. Nasoi, we're raising our head after the Torah was given on Shavuot, and the Rebbe is explaining that in great detail. Tomorrow, God willing, 8:15. Hope to see you all. God bless you with Mashiach now.